name is Lisa Lloyd. I recently submitted a paper to a journal about an action research project I have just completed. The action research project began and ended with a journey through Full Sail University. About a year ago, I began my journey through the Full Sail EMDT program. Before a new student is allowed to participate in classes, they are to complete an orientation. This is the case in most colleges. As I have completed a couple degrees prior to attending Full Sail, I have participated in a few college orientation courses. So now I have finished my new orientation class, and I am beginning my next class, which was Media Literacy and Research course. The Media Literacy and Research course was the start of our action research. We were to develop as students our thesis and begin researching literature for it. At this time, I was fresh out of the orientation course, and I had a family member and a friend both calling me to ask how to perform simple tasks on their computer, such as attaching an image to an email and how to complete tasks in Microsoft Office. I also had a nephew graduating high school at the same time. So it dawned on me, students incoming into college should have additional training and tools they would be using in college to complete coursework so they were better prepared. My thesis developed from there. The first steps I had to take was to review the literature. This was a daunting process. However, I made it through. The literature review pointed to multiple benefits of emerging emergent technology in education in the preparing of students for higher education and the completion of coursework. As I read the information and completed my review, I had multiple tools in mind. One such tool was Second Life, a virtual environment rich in assets. I thought this would be a great all-around tool for incoming students into college. So I began with lessons in my Cycle 1 about Second Life. I found that it was too much too fast, so I scrapped the entire cycle and began again. This would prove to be the best decision. Instead of complex tools, I focused on tools that were specific to the completion of coursework. These tools included Prezi, LiveBinders, Google Drive, and Poplet. All of these emergent technologies were meant to assist in the transition and benefit the transitional students by working off their motivations and lowering their stress levels. As the literature pointed out, the emergent technologies available can aid students when implemented properly, and associations between what they were learning and prior knowledge was made. The design of the cycles, of which I completed 3 and threw the first cycle out, had to take into account a few difficulties. These included gathering students, the students' access to the tools and course, and deciding what the best tools would be for my students. Gathering students. I tried multiple different avenues to gather students who would participate. I posted to my Facebook page. I posted to 2 of my previous schools' alumni and student pages. I printed flyers and posted them at the local laundromats. I also went to the colleges. Finding participants was rather difficult, but I found some. By the end of the cycles, there were 6 students who completed the entire course, all cycles. With the distance between the students, I found that putting the entire course from start to end on the internet was the best for all students to participate. A discussion site was implemented for communications, and a Google site was created with the whole class worked out on links with all instructions included. Granted, I now know about LMS sites and would plan to use one in the future, but at the time, I was not knowledgeable about the sites out there, or even what they were. At this point, I have student access and participants. Now I have to decide what tools would benefit the students. As I said before, the tools I taught were Prezi, LiveBinders, Poplet, and Google Drive. But the reasoning was something of a process. With all the information acquired through the literature review in mind, it was time to decide on the tools, and I wanted the tools to be ones that the students can use in their future college educations. So I had to think about what all of the courses I had taken during my college career had in common. It was pretty simple: research, writing, teams, and presentations. With that in mind, I scoured the internet to find Web 2.0 tools that were free so that all of my students would have access to them. So by now I have my tools planned. I have to decide on how to collect information and which information would be important. To collect the data, I created surveys. There were 4 surveys in total. One was a pre-survey to gather information on the students' current practices with emergent technology. Then I created a questionnaire that the students would take at different points in the class. First, they would take the questionnaire before any instructions were to take place. Then they would take it again at the beginning of Cycle 2 or the end of Cycle 1, and finally, they would take it again at the end of the course. In addition to the surveys, the students would communicate with me via email, phone, and a LaFour discussion for discussions. The LaFour site offered the least amount of data. So now I am planning my actual cycles. There were multiple differences and similarities between the cycles. In general, I taught 2 separate tools in each cycle. I felt that this would split the coursework enough for students so that they wouldn't feel overwhelmed. Plus, it was a voluntary course, so I did not want the students to just give up on it. Some students took to the courses, like moths to a flame, while others crashed and burned. When comparing what students did, it became apparent that the students who were currently in a college course found more relevance in the courses and put more effort into it. When participating in the course, students found multiple instructional videos, such as this Prezi video. The Prezi tool is one of the students' favorite tools. A couple of the students have already switched from primarily using PowerPoint to using Prezi for course presentations. Additional side effects for my students have occurred. For instance, one student who would always call me for help from cleaning the cookie cache to adding attachments to her emails has now become more confident in her computer skills. So now I have all the data and all the students have completed all the hard work. So what's next? Analyzing the data. There is tons of data to go through: phone conversations, notes, 4 questionnaires, discussion answers, and personal observations to habits. This was a point where I had to be careful not to draw conclusions and to only report on the data. Conclusion: all of the steps I had taken really helped me learn new practice, such as using ADDIE, correctly reviewing literature, and implementing and completing an action research project. It opens a door to the future. I have dreams of where this entire action research project could potentially lead. For example, I could create a course for orientation for incoming college courses, or even a high school course for graduating students to help prepare them for college coursework. I feel that if students are better prepared for what they will experience in college and what some of the potential tools they can use to make it easier would lower the coursework stress levels and potentially enable more students to get through their college education. But for now, the hope is for my work to get published. The Action Research course is still open for others to use and take advantage of. There have been new students since the Action Research project took place who have taken advantage of the information and learned about some new tools, just from my former students recommending it to their classmates. I feel better prepared for the educational world because of the Action Research project.